They called them costumes in the history books, as if they were just decoration, a quirk of style. But they weren't. The suits of Tartaria were living technology, each piece woven with purpose. The coat wasn't just for warmth. It was layered with frequency thread, fibers tuned to the human aura, able to amplify healing or shield against hostile vibration. The buttons weren't sewn on for looks. They were miniature discs of conductive metal, aligned to pressure points along the meridians. A moving acupuncture grid disguised as fashion. The waistcoat was an energy stabilizer, its inner lining mapped with sacred geometry, keeping the heart field coherent during long hours in the city grids. The trousers followed the lay of the body, tailored, so the seams sat along energetic lines, channeling current from earth to crown with each step. Even the hats were more than hats, they were antennae. Brim shapes, crown heights, and hidden metallic filaments tuned the mind to receive signals from the ether. Colors were codes. A deep indigo coat told the trained eye you worked in the archives. Crimson meant you were a frequency keeper. White and gold, healers. In Tartaria, clothing wasn't something you wore. It was something you entered. A portable temple for the body so the spirit could work in full capacity. And when the old world fell, the suits became costumes. The frequencies were stripped out, the sacred patterns unstitched. But in old paintings and dusty portraits locked away in archives, you can still see it. The hum beneath the fabric, the way the cuffs align with the pulse, the glint of copper in a button. The suits weren't style, they were power. And that's why they had to hide them.
The Bible is secretly encoded. Kings 8:1, Most Holy House, the Ark of the Covenant, which sat between the two massive cherubs. The Most Holy House is your seat of consciousness in the pineal gland, between the two cherubs, the two hemispheres of the brain. The two angels covering for the Ark of the Covenant are the two hemispheres of the brain. Mark 16:19. Jesus was taken up to heaven, and he sat at the right hand of God. The right hand of God is the right hemisphere of the brain, which is to do with creativity, imagination, intuition, and insight, while the left side of the brain is just materialistic and logical. The right hemisphere of the brain is connected to the cerebrum. 12 systems in the body, 12 zodiac signs. Aries rules the head, and Aries is the ram, the cerebrum, which is the Lamb of God, the higher brain where critical thinking takes place. Land flowing with milk and honey is the pineal and pituitary gland in the center. When Moses crosses the Red Sea, he's crossing the corpus callosum, from the left side of the brain over to the right. Your head is heaven. This is why they depict God in the brain. The Bible has been manipulated so that you would take it literally, so you do not find out your true powers, your true God self, which is Christ. If you are hungry for knowledge, this book is for you. You can find the link in the video below.
You have to see this. The builders of this place took a math equation that literally transforms vibration, it's called the Fourier transform, and turned it into a building. Don't believe me? I'll prove it to you. This is a synthesizer. I use it to make whoops. Those are whoops. Chichen Itza takes a sine wave and turns it into a square wave. You increase the semitones, or the pitch, by the same amount of levels in Chichen Itza. How about visually? Somatic patterns show sound through a metal plate. They have an equation that can be converted into something that we can use to simulate those patterns. The peaks and the valleys show the shape of the sound. Other than making really cool graphics, we can also use this to reveal some hidden architecture and some really old stuff like Borobudur. The architecture is a mirror of the frequency. As we move up in frequency, the patterns get smoother and more complex. And within 100 hertz of that frequency that I just played, you get the architecture of Chichen Itza. Sonically and mathematically. Square waves are binary. You know what else is binary? Biology. If we use a pyramid to illustrate the sequence of biology, you get the binary sequence counting downwards. Counting diagonally, you get the golden ratio that links everything together proportionately. So how would this work? Well, you would take a seed and you would put it up in this chamber, which is exactly what the Mayans did, and then you would wait till the feathered serpent returns to the ground. At this point, water does the rest of the heavy lifting, having the uncanny ability to reflect the flowers and fruits of which the products are. And if you're still skeptical, just remember that the most biodiverse region on the planet has the highest concentration of pyramids on the planet. This is temple technology, and I am BaseForge, and this is not the only example.
The reason cops almost never know the law is because they're not accountable to it, so there's no reason for them to even try to learn it. Now, if we started throwing criminals like this in prison, as we should, I'll bet you anything they would learn the law pretty damn quick. I love how cops like to act like it's not a big deal for them to violate your rights, and you can just go to court, argue your side, and if you win, you win. The problem is there's still no consequence when the cop is wrong, and there is when you're wrong. But according to the actual law, Federal Law 18 U.S.C. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law is a crime. Every single time that a police officer violates your rights under color of law, they have quite literally committed a crime. This is such a serious crime that the punishment for it is supposed to be 10 years in prison or death. I know we talk about qualified immunity all the time and how it needs to be abolished, but the only thing qualified immunity does is keep you from successfully suing the government when they violate your rights. But qualified immunity doesn't apply and isn't supposed to protect them from criminal prosecution. We need cops prosecuted criminally for violating rights, because violating rights is a crime. The entire purpose of people creating governments was to create some type of institution in which we could protect life, liberty, and property and get restitution for those who have their life, liberty, or property taken. But quite literally, the government that we have created now takes more life, liberty, and property than any private criminals, and they get away with it.
By that route. Now let's check out a flight from New York to Moscow, Russia. Okay, now if you look up the flight pattern on Google Maps, it will show you a route leaving New York, going through the tip of Canada, then through the tip of Greenland, then through the tip of Iceland, through Sweden, and then into Moscow. Now let me zoom in on this map so you guys can see that better. Like I said, it leaves New York, goes through the tip of Canada, through the tip of Greenland, through the tip of Iceland, over Sweden, and then into Moscow. Now, doesn't that strike a little bit awkward with you guys? I mean, anybody with common sense knows that the fastest route between A and B is in a straight line, as we see here. I mean, you do not have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. It's common sense. From point A to point B is a straight line that will always be the fastest and shortest route. So anyways, on a globe, this would be your shortest route from New York to Moscow. But instead, this is the route that they give you. Now, I'm going to show you why they take this route. Let's go to the flat Earth map. Now, check out what you have to pass to get from New York to Moscow on a flat Earth map, a straight line. Check this out. The edge of Canada, the edge of Greenland, straight over Iceland, straight over Sweden, and into Moscow. Huh, imagine that. There you go. Now it makes sense. The flight pattern makes total sense on a flat Earth map because it has to go straight across those countries to get to Moscow. Now, I'm assuming Professor Dumb Dave doesn't know this one because he's not familiar with the flat Earth map or how it works. Therefore, debunking the first part of Professor Dumb Dave's challenge.